Here we are. Yes.
Ooh, wagwan, everybody. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new show. I was gonna say a brand new show. I did say a brand new show. I meant brand new episode. I'm on the line because we still working on getting the other show together. What's the other show we doing? Chris Avalon Unfiltered. So yeah, we working on all that good stuff. But anyway, how y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Yeah, we're a little early, which is cute or whatever. I'm feeling energetic. I'm feeling vibrant because I'm about to go out and be a whole hoe later. No, I'm joking. I'm about to go carry on these good old streets. So hide your husband and everybody else in between, because it's on and popping. But yes, we were initially supposed to start around 5:30. And production was on time, but apparently I was not. And I'll tell you why. So apparently I went to I just got back from the cemetery because I went to go visit my grandmother, who I have not seen since I think I have not visited her gravesite in 22 years, because she died October 5th 2001, which was a crazy year anyway, because Aaliyah died back in August of that year. Then we had 9/11 a month after that, and then a month after that, grandmother succumbed to cancer. So yeah, it was just insane. That was just like a crazy year. So with just a lot going on, a lot of like back-to-back traumatic situations was going on. And yeah, so I went to go visit. But it was just hilarious because my grandfather, who, it was just like, yeah, you kind of, when you look at your elders, you see like the true love that transpired between them. And it's like you're seeing your grandmother's where it's just like he's so anxious the car didn't even stop. He's trying to jump out of, mind you, he 80-something years old with a cane, but he's trying to get out the car before the car stopped. And then he's trying to like get down and cut the grass. So he's got scissors trying to cut the grass around the around her, tombstone and all the other stuff it's her plot where all that other stuff is. And then he's like trying to bend down and I'm like, sir, your knees do not work like how they used to. You got 80-something year old knees. You cannot do what I said. Shit, I'm like, how many years? 40 years younger. 30, 40 years younger than him. My knees ain't even the way they used to be. Like, child, my body is falling apart. It's like the older you get, you start feeling them ailments and shit. So, but I got down and I was like, sir, like you are not gonna, I get it. Like when you're in a space of like your mind is vibrant, your mind is say you could do all these things, but then when you get to be a certain age, the body just ain't willing to do what it used to. So it's like it's okay to hand over the reins to the younger counterparts. Myself, my uncle, we pretty much just sat there and we cleaned up her spot a little bit, bought some flowers, and that was that. So it was not only that, but it was also traffic. Traffic is a bitch going out to Long Island, because I get it. It's because, and then it was like, my dad's in the car and he's like, oh, everybody must be trying to go to the beaches. I said, yeah, I'm funny y'all say that because, KTU's got a thing going on out in Jones Beach right now. So with all that transpiring, what's happening is that a lot of people were heading out there. The traffic was backed up. It was crazy. It was literally taking us like an hour to get plus to get where we need to go because everybody's trying to get to the beach. So it's like between, I guess, people are going to Jones Beach to get some rays and hang out. And then there's people that are also heading to the big KTU event that's happening tonight where Deborah Cox is performing. Um, what was it? Christine W was performing. I heard Kevin Aviance was just announced that he's going to be doing something with during Christine W's set. So I don't know if he's DJing or he's doing something. I don't know. I don't know the specifics. I know he announced it on his social media, but he's going to be doing something with her. And the headliner is Kylie Minogue. So if you've never seen her perform live, I would suggest you get y'all tickets even though if it's at the last minute, go out there and get it done because the concert is everything. I mean, not the concert, but it's just. Oh my God, I just realized this entire time I'm using my laptop. Look, we're just gonna have to do this show as is. Because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. I don't have my camera set up with the show. I'm using literally my laptop camera. So if the camera look crazy or whatever, I apologize. We just gonna have to pipe through this show today. I don't have time to stop the show because we live to put the camera on. So I just realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I knew I was missing something. I'm missing my camera. So I'm using my laptop camera at this point to do the show. But so yeah, that was basically my day so far today. And it's gonna continue when we go out later on. So, but I don't know, I'm noticing like I'm on a delay. I don't know what's going on with that, but it is what it is. But glad to see you all in here watching the show and joining. So now, without further ado, let's get into these good old topics. So between me going to the grave yesterday, I watched 2 movies. So the first thing I did was I went to go see The Flash, which was I have to say I enjoyed the movie. It was a lot of fun. I'll get through the negative first, and then we can get into the positive. The negative is the fact that some of the CGI still looked obvious, where there were certain parts I felt of the film, especially the opening sequence with the thieves stealing this virus and Batman's chasing them through the city, and then the Flash is basically helping them out. Like, I guess he was feeling like he's the cleanup man, Mr. Maintenance guy, and he's helping the people at the hospital while Batman's chasing stuff. Ben Affleck, I always said, like, there's been so many Batmans. Ben Affleck is like one of my favorite Batmans. I actually liked him in this film. It was great seeing him like make the cameo. So it was great seeing like the Snyderverse DCU characters back in this film. And then it was great to see Gal Gadot make her little cameo in the opening as well. So there's gonna be some spoilers. So if y'all have not seen the movie yet, I suggest y'all probably just put the thing on mute until we move on to the next topic. But so yeah. It was great to see Gal Gadot, but you know what? Gal Gadot's been busy. She was told y'all she's coming back in the next Fast and the Furious movie because apparently her character Giselle isn't dead, so she made a cameo in that, and now she's made a cameo in this. So it was great to see her in this film, and it was like, oh my God, I really want another Wonder Woman movie. Y'all need to make that happen. We could forget about Wonder Woman 1984. I hated that damn film. I just thought it was so stupid, but I did love the first one. I do think that Gal needs her redemption film. So it was great seeing that. And then for the plot of the film was basically that Barry was feeling nostalgic about his mother. I guess his father's court date, not I guess, it was. His father's court date was coming up where he was accused of murdering her. He went to the store to get a can of tomatoes, and then he comes home and he's like, Barry comes downstairs as a kid and he sees his father hovering over his mother, cradling her as she's got a knife in her gut. So there was a situation where they believed that the father was the one who had killed his mother, which Barry never believed. So his father was stuck in prison. But yeah, like I said, the issues that I had was the CGI. You could obviously tell in certain sequences that the CGI didn't feel like it was complete, even though they needed a whole year after they shot to do all the effects that they did. Now there were 2 Barrys from the preview you've seen or the trailer and the plot synopsis, whatever you want to call it. Barry finds a way that he can go back into time, and I guess because he wanted to bring his mother back. and prevent that situation from happening, which he does, but he realizes he starts he starts changing up things in the process. So he creates this metaverse and those other stuff, and Superman doesn't exist, but we have Kara Zor-El, who is his cousin, who I have to say, the actress that played Supergirl, phenomenal. I need more stuff from her. I do believe that they said that they have another movie, or they're making a movie with her in it that's supposed to be coming out of food. A movie, TV show, something. So, but like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing this new actress as a part of the whole, becoming Supergirl. And I didn't mind the fact that her hair wasn't blonde. I know people making a big deal. I'm like, y'all with the accuracy of like how people are supposed to look kind of annoys me. I like her short, dark hair. I thought it looked cute on her from the outfit and everything that, based on the person, the character, what the character called for. So I didn't mind the short, dark hair. What else? Oh, and there were a couple of cameos because I remember Robert Price, who is a frequent person of the show, kind of annoyed me and he revealed to me a surprise cameo that was in the film. So now I don't know if y'all heard, but there is a scene where Christopher Reeve, who's been dead for like 20 some odd years, makes an appearance in the film as Superman. But people have to realize, because he would say, oh, people are upset because they put him in the film and they didn't have his permission because he's dead and this, that, and the third. But people have to I don't know what the red tape and the what Andy Muschietti had to do to get certain characters and bring them into the movie. I don't know what deals they had to make, or maybe he spoke with the family of Christopher Reeve and got the permission from his wife. I don't know what the context of all that is. All I know is, why be upset over somebody being in there when it has to make sense to why you're bringing these older characters in? Because they had the original actor that played Batman, or the original Superman from back in the day, the old one. I think it was like the black and white one. I forget what the original Superman's name was, but I mean the actor that played him. But he was in the film. There were different versions. They even had Nicolas Cage as Superman in this film. And it was basically because the different universes were colliding, because the Flash kept trying to go back and change things. And as long as you kept going back, he was creating this thing where the worlds were colliding, because you're trying to change something that is inevitable. It's like, once you change the fact of like you bring somebody back, it causes this ripple effect, and it affects other people in that situation. So people who were supposed to be alive end up dead or don't exist, or whatever the case was. So seeing all that, Nicolas Cage was in the film. I know some people are like, what? And funny thing is, if people don't know the history, shout out to Robert Meyer Burnett, who is another YouTuber who I believe produced a documentary on Nicolas Cage as Superman. Once upon a time, there was a film, I believe, called Superman Lives that was in the works. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was it oh my god, what's his name? The director of Batman and Batman Returns, Tim Burton. I believe Tim Burton, if I'm not mistaken, was supposed to direct a Superman movie, and it never came to be. And Superman was supposed to be played by Nicolas Cage. So and he had the long hair and everything. Because I remember there was so unless you know the true ins and outs in the history of everything that went on with these films, most people wouldn't know that. So seeing them, and then Helen Slater, Christian's sister, who played Supergirl in the old movie back in the day, she made a cameo. So it was a bunch of different little cameos in the film that I actually enjoyed. And it was great seeing Jason Momoa in the post-credit scene as Aquaman, because we're getting another Aquaman movie. And so that was a funny little thing. I did like a lot of the comedy. Some of the comedy didn't land for me as I had hoped, but some of the jokes, were cute or whatever. And overall, I have to say, if you go see this movie this weekend, you'll enjoy it, the second and third. Now, I think what we need to do is get into the real meat and potatoes of the situation, which is Ezra Miller, because I know that's the big elephant in the room, that, Ezra Miller, who has pretty much been problematic with a lot of things that they've done. Then we followed, over the last, 2-3 years, that they have gotten themselves into some deep trouble. What's becoming of them? What's going to happen to Ezra Miller as the Flash? This is unfortunate, because watching this film, Ezra Miller is phenomenal as his character. I enjoyed seeing them on the screen. I thought they not only did a phenomenal job, but it's like they captured the essence of I guess in their version of who Barry Allen is supposed to be. Barry White's a singer. Barry Allen is supposed to be. And the fact of him playing two different characters, that was another thing too. The special effects, you can kind of tell at some points which was the digital one that they added in, and which was the Ezra Miller that was acting, because there was a part around his mouth I noticed when he was in the Bat Plane, where I was like, it's not matching. It looked a little off. So like I said, I'm being a little nitpicky with it, but overall, like I said, it was a good movie. Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, I almost forgot to mention him. Phenomenal. It was like my childhood coming back to life, because it was like when I was a kid, I was just like, oh my God, this is like my childhood coming back, with seeing Michael Keaton as Batman and him kicking butt and all this other stuff. So I feel like he got his redemption, because after Batman Returns, he was just like, I'm done with the franchise, because I guess, they wanted to go in some different direction with what they wanted with Batman, and Michael Keaton wasn't coming back. So I feel like they got to wrap up that whole thing in a little bit. There was another movie that did that recently as well, where a character from like way back in the day, they kind of got screwed over, and then somebody brought them back into a future film, and then they kind of got like their just due. Which I like that a lot of my generation kind of looks back on a lot of those old movies, and now they're filmmakers, and they're like, you know what, justice for so and so. So and it's warranted. So yeah, he was good in that as well. And who else was that? Oh, and now it's like the way they ended the film, which was hilarious, because he's like, oh yeah, I fixed everything, and now I'm back home in my timeline. And he's thinking he's gonna meet up with Ben Affleck outside the courthouse, because the evidence, which I believe, I should have known at that point when they showed the evidence at the end, where he lifts his face up, where the father lifts his head up and realizes that, so he did look up, and then there was some, I guess there was a change made, because I believe like when he looked at the footage earlier in the film, the father never lifts his head up, so the evidence really wasn't gonna help out. But then there's a scene at the end of the film where the father gets set free, because he happens to look up and grabs a can of tomatoes, and Iris is like, oh, so looking at it kind of like, okay, because when did he reach for a can up at the top when he didn't reach for that before? And then at the end, I should have known that there was a bit changed, that somebody did change something and change up some stuff, because then at the end, when he gets out the car and he's meeting up with Bruce Wayne, we're thinking we're gonna see Ben Affleck, because he's back in his timeline. But the Batman that gets out is George Clooney. So seeing George Clooney come and make this cameo, I don't know how they pull all this off without anybody even finding out about these cameos or being secretive with it. But it was just awesome the way all of this came in. So just the whole nostalgia fact of seeing like, well, damn, they brought George Clooney up in here as Batman. And so it was just really cool to say. And I would say, damn, George Clooney looked good with all that gray up in his beard and his butt. He was just looking like really good. So I'm like, well, damn, well, now that Andy Muschietti, who directed this movie, is now been officially announced as the director of The Brave and the Bold, where it's supposed to be the story of Batman and his son, Damian Wayne. I'm wondering if would it be a good idea to kind of bring back one of the old pre-existing Batman, since we're introducing the metaverse and all this stuff, that they pick like George Clooney to play Batman in his world, and then pick some young up and coming unknown. I know like in the comics, he's way like Damian Wayne is a kid, like he's probably like what, 8, 9, 10, something or another. What if just for the context of the film, they kind of update it where they make Damian 13, 14, like they kind of put him that preteen teenage years, we age him up a little bit, so that way if you're gonna go a little harder with the action and the cussing or whatever the case, however what approach you're gonna take this film, they have somebody who's a little older who could pretty much do that, unless y'all want, which I wouldn't mind also, like what was it, Kick-Ass, where we had Chloe Grace Moretz's Hit Girl, and her being as young as she was up in there cussing and killing people and doing all that crazy stuff. Like I don't mind stuff like that, but I'm just wondering, like in this day and age, because Hollywood act like they so damn scared of everything, would y'all be willing to go there with that? So overall, I have to say I enjoyed the movie. I don't know what the future holds in regards of Ezra Miller, who did make an appearance at the film's Hollywood premiere. So I don't know what's going to happen with them. And I understand that, he met with Warner Film bosses Pamela Abdi and Michael DeLuca after he apologized, for all the stuff he did. And then, Monday night when they had the premiere, he did thank them along with Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder, producer. Zack Snyder from the Snyderverse, his wife Deborah produces a lot of stuff, and they are the ones who cast Ezra as the Flash back in 2014. So Ezra, in a way, even though they appear in the Justice League and all this other stuff, they've only played this character 3 times, because they played, they were in Justice League, they were in this Flash movie, and they also appeared in an episode of the TV show Flash. So you've only played the character 3 times in a span of 10 years, which is insane to me, but it is what it is. So Miller has not done press. If y'all want to know all the stuff that they've gotten themselves involved into from April 2020 to when is it? August 2022. And then the statement where they said that they were seeking help on August 15th. You could definitely go over to my website and look all that up, because all the evidence is there. I'm not going to go through everything that they had gotten themselves into in this episode, but just take my word that they've been into some stuff. And like I said before, if Andy Muschietti, I don't know if he's planning on directing the Flash sequel, because right now, like I said, he's going to be working on The Brave and the Bold. But if he does decide to come back, or whoever decides to take over the franchise, I want to know what's going to be the future of Ezra, and are they not going to be held accountable for what they've done? Or is it this that because they're seeking help and all this other stuff, that's enough? And are people going to support, Ezra in the future? Or are we at a point that people just don't care? That it's like, you know what? It is what it is. I honestly don't care about all the Hollywood politics. I like Ezra as the Flash, and I want them to keep them. But if that's going to be the case, I hope the same thing applies for Jonathan Majors, who they're trying to, clean up his image with, along with, by having him with Megan Good. And then we heard the recent story this week about Tenoch Huerta, Mejia, from Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Namor, I almost said Aquaman, he is a similar character, who was accused of assaulting someone who we found out was his ex-girlfriend, which he admitted that he did date the woman, but he's saying the woman is not being 100% truthful in what transpired between them. So, I will definitely keep you guys abreast of the story. Only time will tell, and when we finally get a verdict on what's going to happen, because Andy said that he's not firing Ezra and replacing them with another actor. So if that's what happens, then we'll see. We'll just wait and see, and then we'll just take it, by ear on whatever happens. Now, another movie I got to see also, because I was like, oh, I watched that, and I gotta rush home because this movie was on Netflix, so I wound up watching Extraction 2 with Chris Hemsworth, who came back as Tyler Rake, the guy who goes around extracting people in danger. He takes on these dangerous missions, extracting people from crazy dangerous situations. So the first one was where he was getting this gangster's son who got kidnapped by this other gangster in what was that, I think Bangladesh or something or another. I like that movie. But this one the sequel was way better. A lot of action. I loved the prolonged sequences where it was very much like Alfred Hitchcock's Rope. If you ever seen that film, where Alfred Hitchcock would do these long takes, and then you wouldn't even know where the cuts were, so he would pan into, like, say, a vase, and then it would come out and it would be another it would look like the shot was never cut, but it actually was, because it would pan into something else, and then the cuts would be interjected in there, but you couldn't really tell unless you knew where to look. But I have to say, Chris Hemsworth was definitely born to play this character, similar to like Denzel Washington as the Equalizer, and Queen Latifah. I actually like her as in that role as well. And Keanu Reeves and John Wick. this is a role, Tyler Rake is definitely a role that Chris Hemsworth is born to play. And I hope that in the future, because the way that they're setting the film up now, it looks like they're trying to kind of create their own cinematic universe. Like look, Idris Elba made an appearance in the film. I didn't even know he was gonna be in it. But he appears in it as a guy who basically ends up hiring Tyler for a job after he was left for dead in the last movie. And then he ended up getting saved. He was in the hospital for a long period of time, recovering, broken leg, a messed up arm, got shot in the neck. But he came back, and basically the plot of this film was that his ex-wife's sister was being held in a prison in Georgia, which I was like, there's another Georgia outside of America? I always thought it was only in Georgia, was like, the United States. But I didn't know there was a Georgia in another country. So anyway, what had happened was, so the sister was being held in this prison along with her husband, who was his notorious gangster, but he had his wife and his 2 children living in this prison because he was trying to feed them this lie that, oh, if you go outside the prison, there's these people that's trying to kill you, and you have to stay in here so I can protect you, which of course the son ended up brainwashed. Teenage son Sandro, who irritated the dog fuck out of me in this film, but I get it. He's a kid. He was confused. Young boys always look up to their dads regardless of what the situation is. You're going to turn a blind eye to all the red flags. Even when you've seen your father smack your mother around and degrade her and talk down to her and this and the third, which a lot of these damn men do anyway. But so Tyler is hired and does it as a favor because, if you know the history, his wife, and he had lost a son to lymphoma. And so he wound up doing tours overseas, and I believe in Afghanistan, because he couldn't control the outcome of his son's fate. So he thought by leaving and going to deal with that over there, the wars and all the other stuff, he doesn't have to deal with the pain of having to lose a child. So I totally got it. He sold me on a lot of those heartfelt sequences. And I love the fact that they keep these movies so simple. It's like, let us know what the plot is. Let's go in. Let's distract the people. Give us some cool action sequences. And then also give us those moments where we feel for the characters and we want them to make it out alive. So there was a lot of amazing fight sequences. I love the prison fight scene where it just reminded me of, The Raid 2. If you've never seen that movie, definitely check it out. It's on Netflix as well. I try to recommend that movie to anybody who hasn't seen it. Definitely check that out. But you need to see The Raid and The Raid 2. But The Raid 2 is it's a really good story. It's a lot of action. It's a long movie too. But my favorite scene from that movie is the kitchen fight scene. I was talking to my uncle about this movie earlier. But definitely, like, the Extraction 2 is definitely a movie that you want to watch multiple times. I did love the fact that we had my girl Golshifta Farahani up in here again. She did a phenomenal job in this film. I'm glad they gave her more to do. I liked the dynamic between her and her brother in the film, where he also works doing the same thing where they help extract people. So I'm really excited to see where they're going to go with the third film, which is like, okay, so Tyler's doing these crazy off the book jobs, but he has his little team. So now that, we'll see, since not every character made it out alive, who they'll bring in to kind of be a part of his team when we go into the third installment. Because I know they always try to make it seem like that one person should be like the big superhero and be able to take on everything, and it gets Fast and the Furious ridiculous in a lot of situations. But for the most part, I do love when they go into these situations where you kind of bring in other team people and don't put everything off on the lead actor. So seeing the fact that we get to see other people up in there kicking butt besides, Tyler Rake, it makes it awesome. And I love the fact that we had the Russo brothers was a part of this, because I think Joe Russo wrote the script, like he wrote the first one, and they're part of the whole show. They produced The Citadel over on Amazon Prime. If y'all have not seen that, definitely watch that show, which was longer than 6 episodes, but that was a good one too. So yeah, those are my 2 picks. If y'all have not, if y'all looking for something to watch this weekend, definitely check out Extraction 2 if you love action. And if you want to see something that's got some action, special effects heavy, and a load of fun, definitely go check out The Flash in theaters if there's any tickets left, because I don't know how it's doing, but I know the movie's probably making a shit ton of money. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this other thing. So, we've been talking about a lot of reviews. Child, now we can put to bed this Real Housewives of New Jersey. Now, the third installment happened this past week, and child, it was a lot. I remember when I was talking about it, I was like, I think I need a Xanax after watching this episode because it was just so much. Like, I was uncomfortable. I was on edge. Like, my body was literally like tense the entire time watching the episode. I was like, oh, damn, my shoulders is hurt. My back is because I was so intense watching it. And it's gotten to the point where the back and forth between Teresa and her brother Joe, it's not fun to watch anymore. It's not fun um watching those two on screen going back and forth and bickering. Hey, Lindsay girl, she's in the building. Yeah, it was a lot, child. I don't know. It's like at this point, and I've been watching the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast. Yeah, Kim D and them keep saying Melissa's gonna get fired and this, that, and the third. I don't know who's gonna get fired. I'm gonna give my opinion at the end of this to let y'all know what I think. But first of all, let's just get into the situation. So the other two parts, it was cute or whatever. But my thing was like, I want them to hurry out and bring the husbands, because when they brought out the husbands, it's like when we can get in the middle of everything. So Joe Gorga, when he came out, he basically echoed his sister and was like, because they was asking like, how are you feeling right now? He's like, my heart is beating out of my chest, which is the same thing Teresa said. And I think probably the reason why they were feeling that way is because they have not seen or spoken to each other since filming the finale, where Louis sat up and talked about, I got Bo Dito got dirt on all of y'all, and then try to deny it at the reunion. This is the thing that pisses me off with people. It's like when y'all say something, I don't think y'all know how reality TV works. When you say something out of your mouth, we believe it as fact. But then I was gonna get into that. It's like Lindsay's like, but jokes aside, Melissa and Joe doesn't have a storyline other than argue with Tree, and I do agree with that. It's that, and I'm thinking at this point, maybe not Teresa. I do believe that Joe and Melissa's got to go. If y'all don't have a story, and now I have to say this, shout out to Melissa, because I will say this, even though I've heard she's a liar and all these other things I've heard about her, I have to give it up to her for finally standing up to her sister-in-law, because a lot of times she's kind of been passive with a lot of things that Teresa says and just lets it go, probably because she was always thinking, oh, we'll come back next season and we'll work it out then. But it's like, no, when you're in the line of fire, defend yourself. If your sister-in-law's out here making up lies and accusations about you, defend it. Don't sit up here and be like, oh, well, we'll just hold that over to the next season. Because in my opinion, nothing got resolved in this reunion. And usually when it comes to the reunions, it's the point of the reunions is to bring all the stuff, find a resolution with all the stuff that transpired throughout the season. So when we get to a point where nothing is resolved, then it's pointless. And at this point, it's like, what irritated me, because I was sitting there going back and forth with the damn tree stumps. That's why I'm gonna call y'all, because y'all some damn trolls, not the tree huggers. But a lot of Teresa's fans are just as delusional as the woman they worship, because they was like, well, I don't like the fact that Andy was up in there screaming at Teresa. Well, she wouldn't shut the fuck up the whole damn time. That's why he was screaming at her every time that Andy would ask Joe a question or Melissa a question. Teresa would cut them off and would start with her typical bullet points. You broke up the family. You broke my heart. Said it in English and in Italian. And then she would bring up all these other things. Oh, you broke up my marriage, or not broke up my marriage, but you broke up, my relationship between my brother. And no, that shit existed, I'm sure, long before Melissa came into the picture. I don't know what it is between them, but I feel like we need to get to the bottom of why Teresa and Joe are the way they are. Where did this whole thing transpire? Is it the fact that your brother wound up getting married and having a family of his own, and Teresa was jealous? Because I've been watching old clips that people have been bringing up online to try to justify whatever, and the fact that Teresa has used that bullet point for years, talking about how her brother would, oh, you're breaking Nono and Nona's heart because of this, and this. She used the same thing in this reunion, but this time it wasn't the Nono and the Nona, because they're not here no more. Now it's you breaking my heart. You're hurting my feelings. You ruining, all these other things. But you know who I have an issue with? I got a problem with that damn new husband of hers, because there's something about Louis. He is making this show so uncomfortable. He's got a creep factor to him that does not sit well with me. I do not think that he is good for Teresa, and I think he is going to destroy that woman before he makes it any better. So I don't even think It's got to do with, I think it's a lot deeper than that, but the fact that he's bringing himself in the middle of the drama, I don't like. There's something about Louis that just doesn't sit right with me, and I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Because beside the whole Bo Dietl stuff, we'll get into that in a second. But the thing that irritates me, why him? I'm still confused about the whole pajama pants thing. Because remember at the time when they were at what was it, the shore? They were at the shore house, and they wound up saying something or another. He said, I wear your. Do you know I wear your father's pajama pants to make the kids feel safe and loving and all that other stuff. And then he was trying to explain it. He was like, it wasn't pajama bottoms, it was sweatpants. Regardless of the fact, you're still wearing someone's clothes that don't belong to you. And I don't know what the hell that got to do with anybody feeling safe. So we still didn't get to the bottom of that. Then which I had no idea, Frank Catania, Black Dolores, Wendy calls her Black Dolores, so I'm gonna run with that. Her ex-husband, I had no idea that he was Joe Gorga's attorney back in the day. But he's been disbarred for reasons I don't know. If y'all know, put it in the comments. But I have no idea why he was disbarred. But anyway, so he said that because there was a theory that came up that Teresa believes from Jacqueline that Joe and Melissa had something to do with her going to jail. Her and Joe Giudice, which Joe Giudice repeated that in an interview where he did for the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast. I don't know if I believe that. I don't believe that's why I would hope that if I had a sibling like that, because I told you I don't get along with my brother, but I would hope that somebody who was a sibling of mine, even if we didn't get along, would stoop so low that they would get the feds involved, and because I hate your ex-husband so much that I would get you thrown in jail. Which, let's be clear, because Joe Giudice said this in the interview. He said if I wasn't a part of this show and this, that, and the other, I guess he still would have been doing what he was doing. He wouldn't have gotten caught by the feds because they wouldn't have been paying attention to him. Which to me is not taking responsibility for their actions, in my opinion. Oh yeah, we definitely have to have a phone chat over that, because this would have been something good to have you a part of. So I have a thought about Melissa that I know I will be right about, but we'll chat about it over a phone chat. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Melissa and Joe are innocent in anything they've done. I've heard some stories that they got some things that they've been involved with where they don't pay people, they owe people a lot of money, and a lot of scandalous situations that's going on in Jersey. But apparently they like Teflon, nothing touches them. Teresa and Joe, I guess, were just sloppy in what it was that they were doing. But yeah, let's get back to the whole recap thing. So yeah, Frank Catania said that Joe did not snitch on Teresa and Joe Giudice and get them thrown in jail or snitch on them or whatever the case was. But I have to say, it does look suspicious when my own brother and his wife are hanging out with the very people that had something to do with getting me and my husband thrown in jail. So it does look fishy when you're hanging out with people who, were involved in a case to throw you in jail. I gotta kind of look at it in a way of like something the milk ain't clean. So I kind of understand where Teresa was coming from with that, but like I said, I hope it's not true that, with the whole thing. Now, remember when I did the thing a couple of weeks ago, when I was giving y'all some sneak peek stuff about the Real Housewives, what was going to be happening in the reunion, where I told you all the tea that was coming out with that. The thing did come up about Frankie, little Frankie, cutie Frankie. Ooh, he cute. But anyway, back to this thing. Little Frankie was, he worked for Louis, and they did bring it up because it was an unaired scene where Joe and Frank were talking about the fact that Lil Frankie worked for Louis and then he ended up not working for him anymore. And Frankie was like, in I guess a tweet or whatever, nothing, everything is great, I got a new job, we moved on. And then Dolores looked like she was getting real defensive, and it kind of made us look at it like, okay, so what's going on, which I gotta hide? Like, is Dolores trying to play what she usually does, Switzerland. I don't want to get in the middle of it because I don't want Teresa to be mad at me and then I end up unemployed on a show where I have no storyline. So Melissa and Joe ain't the only ones on the show that ain't got a storyline. Dolores ain't got one either. But because Teresa needs allies in her corner, particularly Jen Aiden, who lip stays forever perched to Teresa's ass, and then Dolores, who basically plays neutral Nancy. What do you expect? So, yeah, they said that was what Frank said was that he admitted that Joe was contacted by the FBI to answer questions about Joe Giudice, not Teresa. Silly didn't show up to say a word. I know he would never try to hurt me, Tree said, although she still seems to believe the theories that Jackie put in her head. So now here's the thing. If you believe that your brother wouldn't try to hurt you, why would you say, but Jacqueline said this? So it's like, do you believe me or do you not believe me? Finally, this was Dolores' season because, she got the, Buzz Lightyear. She's dating, who's married to another woman he's been married to for like 14 years. And all that other stuff. And I did love the fact that they rolled back the footage where Teresa's like, "Oh, I believe Jacqueline," and so yeah, because you hit up Jacqueline and y'all made bygones be bygones, but now you're up in here saying that they were looking at it as like, girl, now we supposed to believe that you and Jacqueline are thick as thieves when you said you believe she put you in jail, then you said that you believe Caroline put you in prison, and then first of all you wouldn't even admit your ass was going to prison. You used to call it camp, or you were going away. But now all of a sudden, because y'all patch things up, you believe this story. I don't believe it. I don't know. I don't believe. I mean, trust and believe. Crazy things have transpired, but I don't know if I believe this whole. But you're gonna believe Jacqueline Larita is gonna sit up in here and say, and especially I loved how they roll back the clips. You call Jacqueline everything but a child of God, but now you're supposed to all of a sudden be team her. Now, I also got to give a huge shout out to John Fuda, who definitely was about to raise up and fuck up Louis for all the drama stuff. Now here's the thing. I get the whole situation with Dolores. Well, not Dolores. I get the whole thing between Margaret, who is notorious for hiring private investigators to get dirt on her castmates. I have heard stories that she does that. I've heard that she sells stories to the press. I have heard those things. So I get Louis going back and doing the same thing. Louis doesn't, I guess there's a line he don't know that he ain't supposed to cross. And one thing you should not do is bring kids into it. Why are you going and making personal phone calls to Margaret's son and threatening him? That's a no. But then what pisses me off is that the tree huggers are talking about, oh, but Gia. Oh, they be saying this stuff about Gia and they be talking about her daughters. Teresa has asserted her children into a lot of her personal business for years. Y'all are fair game. If you grown and you trying to act like you a damn wannabe housewife, sis, you're fair game. If you're gonna get involved in grown people's business. And the thing with Gia, she always be acting like she way too grown for how she was. Yeah, so I was sitting there reading Lindsay's comments because she's commentating as I'm talking about this. But here's the thing. They had the evidence. His cell number was on the paperwork. But then he went and backpedaled and pussy pop saying he never actually hired Bo Dietl. Now here's the thing. How you gonna say you never hired Bo Dietl when you mention his name, when you mention him twice? You mentioned him at the big season finale blow up. Where was that at? If I remember it. Was it at oh my god, what the hell is her name? Is it, I'm forgetting names. Was it at Dolores and her man's house that they had a well, no, you could chime in, sis, and give your opinion because it'll pop up at the bottom. Okay, so yeah, so but then I do believe that he basically was digging up dirt on John Fuda. I don't know why you would do that. Why are you reaching out to his ex-wife who was in jail for all her issues, when in fact John and his wife are trying to get custody? Well, he was trying to get his current wife to officially adopt his son, Jaden, which I was glad they were able to do. So why are you contacting the ex-wife? Why are you contacting Margaret's son, threatening him, saying you didn't do it, but they got the evidence? Then people say, oh, he had this envelope that you ain't even open it up and say what it was. Well, if Andy Cohen would have been like a real moderator and followed up on the evidence that was there, then I feel that he would have, we could have found out what was in that envelope. I wanted to know. And Cry Minds wanted to know. I don't know why Andy didn't follow up on it, probably because there was so much screaming and shouting and stuff going on. He didn't know where to like pull from. But I've always said this about Andy. Andy's problem is he is too comfortable with these people. He is too in it with them that it's like when it's time to really sit and be fair and listen and do all this other stuff, he don't know what to do. I feel like he's lost his sense of being a good moderator. It's time to bring some fresh blood up in there, in my opinion. But you can't sit and say that you hired Ellie. You can't mention it the next day when y'all are having breakfast. And then you sit and say, oh, I didn't hire Bo Dietl. But then at the reunion, Bo Dietl sent a security guy that's downstairs trying to come upstairs. So how you gonna say? So Louis gives me bipolar. He gives me very much bipolar disorder. Like you say, or like a psychotic version of Tourette's. How do you say one thing and then you like, I didn't say that, but I got your number. I know I got stuff on your day. It's like it's this weird, it's just something crazy about him. But I did find it funny when Joe Gorga said that Louis looked like the Joker, and he did look like him. Like he's got that wide mouth, ginormous teeth. He does remember the Joker. The Joker. He even called Louis a woman abuser, which pissed Teresa off. Which I guess it makes sense. But I'm like, woman abuser in what way? Because I think people don't realize women get abused in many different ways. It don't necessarily have to be he smacked the shit out of her. That is not the only abuse. It's the same thing when I say about when people are being racist. It ain't just by shouting out and calling somebody the N-word. That's the most extreme. Just like putting hands on somebody is the most extreme version of abuse. But I do believe that Louis is emotionally abusive to Teresa. But Teresa, being that she is less than smart, yes, production. Now, because Teresa is less than smart, those are Wendy Williams words. I'm gonna stick with that because we don't like using the S word. I do believe that Louis is emotionally abusive. The fact that she has to constantly have sex with him. Oh, so they checked oh yeah, I don't watch What Happens Live, so thank you for informing me of that. I refuse. I do have a story about Andy Cohen and Watch What Happens Live and Madonna coming up. But anyway, so to wrap up this viewing, because it was a lot going on, I feel like, because it's so much spinning in my head right now that I'm trying to get everything out. I'm trying to hit every corner. But so yeah, so I did say I do agree he looked like the Joker, but the woman abuser thing, it could be that he's being emotionally abusive, that he says and does certain things, and I don't know. Louis did say that he tried to be a brother-in-law to Joe, but I think maybe Joe is like, there's something about him that I don't trust, and it's perfectly okay to feel that way. I'm not just gonna blindly like somebody because you like them. This guy does come across, and I do feel like Louis there's something opportunistic about him. The word on the curb was that he intentionally ran into Teresa and courted her, and she fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And the daughter's going along with it. One of the things I really wanted them to bring up at the reunion, though, and I was mad that they didn't even touch on that, because if Teresa is wanted her brother to be in the wedding and all this other stuff so bad, why was it that why didn't they bring up the scene in the car when Melania was in the passenger seat and excuse me, and she had Louis on speaker, and I don't remember exactly what it was. Maybe Lindsay, you could tell me because I forgot. But I think it was an engagement party or something or another that they were inviting people to, and Louis intentionally said on the phone, Oh, and I made sure not to invite Joe and Melissa to the party. He sent out all the invites to everybody else, but he made sure that he didn't invite them. And then Teresa was like, we're filming. And saying that was like knowing, because he didn't know, but she knows, because like I said, he doesn't know how to play the game and how reality TV and stuff works yet. Teresa knows what she could put up on cameras. But of course, they'll catch you slipping every now and again, but Teresa knows how to play the game. She's been doing it for what, 12, 13, 14 years? So I did want them to elaborate on, I really want them to call out on that though, but if you were really about the whole situation and wanting your brother to be a part of your wedding and this, that, and the third, when there were moments where she would gaslight them. Oh, I want you to be part of this to keep up appearances, but I don't want y'all to be a part of it, because to me, it always felt like this wedding and all this other fame, money, all that stuff comes with it. She has something over them that she could consistently well, look, I'm on TV, I'm famous, I'm this, I'm that, and that's cute or whatever. You can have all that because you earned your spot. In my opinion, Teresa has earned her spot to be on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. She flipped the table, prostitution whore, all that other stuff. That was a great moment from TV. Pushing Andy Cohen in the chair, great moment in TV. All the things that she says and she cuts people out, I live for it. I live for the drama. I live for Teresa in those moments. But the minute Melissa and Joe became a part of the show, I think that really sent her over the edge. But I also think she's going after them when you really need to be going after production, because production shady ass, I feel like they saw an opportunity and a moment to exploit Teresa and Joe's relationship, because the show Jersey has centered itself around the whole family thing. We're family, we're this, we're that. That's what they've centered their show around. And the fact that you have this sibling rivalry, which I've totally forgot about this. Kathy Wakili, is her mother, and the Giudices, Nono Gorga. Sorry, Giudice was Joe Giudice's last name. Nono Gorga, their father, their siblings. I totally forgot they had a moment where they weren't speaking. So now it's sort of like history repeating itself. And speaking of that, let's bring up the whole Gia allegedly lying about saying the fact that he could do better than Melissa. So then Teresa called Gia on the phone on the stage, and Gia denied that she said what she said. She said that she had called Zio Joe to beg him to come to the wedding, but didn't discuss the gossip. It said, Zio Joe, that you're trying to call me a liar. I told y'all that was going to happen too. Thanks to all the, the tea that I was pulling up from other places, doing my digging. And then Melissa and Joe thought that they said, you know what, Teresa go sit up in there and make Gia lie. And that's when she left and was like, don't follow me. And she stormed the stage and screamed. And then, brought out a couple of tears and all that stuff. Then she called Gia to console her. But then I was confused by that whole thing. So it made it seem like that maybe Gia, the way that the way it transpired when we saw the clip behind backstage, did the other Housewives say anything about me and instead of third? It made it seem like Gia possibly wasn't telling the truth. But like I said before, I really want to know the tea of what happened with Dolores and that whole situation with Lil Frankie and Louis, and the fact that something did happen, I believe. And Dolores doesn't want to go into it because she doesn't want to cause any friction between her friendship with Teresa. So yeah, Louis was like, not forget that you wasn't coming, you wasn't invested, and I'm not sending a confirmed invite. I mean, I still would have sent the invites out, but if you don't want to come, then that's it. That's fine. And you don't want to be a part of my thing, I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm going to continue to put out that olive branch because I care about my brother. But I guess maybe, I don't know, from the way that the show was edited and the way they made it feel like Joe and Melissa were trying to make, do with whatever. And then Teresa would always try to throw in her little manipulation and this, that, the other, or say like little things, negative things. And it's like, well, why? I'm not going to go where I'm not wanted. So that's kind of the sense of the way it came across. Now, as far as the future of the show, I don't know what's going to happen at this point, because I remember at the end, Louis tried to, make it all better and was like, you know what? I never hired this, that, and the third. I truly believe that he did. But I felt like there was more questions left unanswered. And I'm hoping with the upcoming season, depending on where they go, because it's going to be a long pause, they can figure out what's going to happen. But do I think Melissa and Teresa are going to come back? I think they're trying to figure out what needs to be done. I do feel like that Louis made things awkward with the whole filing all these things against them, Bo Dietl, that whole situation. You pretty much had half the cast investigated. So how do we move forward with that? I do believe that moment is what made producers feel like, fuck, we're in a position of what do we do? So I don't know what happens at this point. I would love to see Melissa come back in some sort of way. Maybe they'll bring her back in an Ultimate Girls Trip. You know what's perfect? Bring her back in Ultimate Girls Trip season 6 after they finish doing the New York Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, which I heard they're getting paid $250K an episode. I just heard that recently. The Housewives of New York to do Ultimate Girls Trip, but that's basically a week, so it's probably not that bad. I mean, a lot of money they're shelling out. But anyway, Ultimate Girls Trip season 6. I say give Melissa Gorga on that season and Kim Zolciak. I wish they would bring Nene Leakes back on, but that shady shit y'all did last week, y'all erased Nene off an old thing from the Housewives. And y'all got dragged on social media because of that. I think y'all need to. That was ugly on production's part, where they did that to Nene. It's like, regardless of how y'all feel about Nene, she made Atlanta what it was, because it ain't no more. Now it's fucking boring. But it's unfortunate. Like, you know what? Somebody suggested this. One of my friends was like, when I was talking about it in the comments, because I heard, Adam Barter was talking about he's getting Kim G to come on one of his shows. Shout out to him, by the way, because he was on the Jersey Housewives at one point. He I don't know what the future is gonna hold for them. If they don't come back, it'll be sad. They'll have to figure out something. It'll be a relief on, I guess, a lot of the viewers, as well as Teresa, because now she can finally do this damn show without having to constantly fight with her damn brother and sister-in-law. I think they're pretty much done at this point. But a friend of mine suggested that they should do like a couples therapy, family dynamic type show with just the Gorgas and with, Joe and Melissa Gorga and Teresa and Louis. I think they should just did the reunion with those four, because the others really wasn't giving what needed to be given. So it's a whole lot that went on. I probably missed some stuff. I definitely want to know what y'all thought about this reunion in the comments. I'm probably going to edit this damn sequence down into one little clip. Well, not clip, but just the whole segment. So I'm thinking this thing probably I'll talk a good 30 minutes on this reunion, because it was so much that happened in part 3. Part 3 was where it was at. But yeah, it was cringe for me. It was a lot of I was literally on an emotional roller coaster. Like I said, I need a damn Xanax after I watched that damn episode. But hopefully they'll work it out. I don't think it'll happen. And I'm curious to see where they're going to go as regard the future of Jersey and what it does. I heard that they're from what I was hearing, they're looking to bring younger people on. So if you're in Jersey and you're a young person, you got money and this, that, and the third, definitely give them a shout out. I think Bravo's looking for people. I did hear rumblings because there was a point where I had heard Remy Ma they were looking to bring her on New York, but because she lives in Jersey, they were like, it's not going to work. But I'm like, wait a minute. There are a lot of people who don't live where they say they live, but y'all put them on these damn shows anyway. So, but would a Remy Ma or DJ Envy's wife and that whole situation, would they fit in a Bravo Real Housewives type of world? I don't know. Why this is kept, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I think the Housewives format is tired. I think the show is not working the way it used to be anymore. Y'all may have to just revamp the shows altogether and start over clean, kind of like they did with New York. They need to do the same thing with Jersey. I think they need to do the same thing with Atlanta. Atlanta's not hitting either. Another recommendation that I had somebody send me, and I was like, you know what? I've thought about this too. Maybe they just need to just do Ultimate Girls trips every year. Every season, just keep doing Ultimate Girl trips and just recycle those legendary housewives on that and just start over and come up with new ideas and new ways of. Y'all need to revamp the whole format, because the old format of the housewives is not working. producers, these people over at Bravo, y'all have gotten lazy in regards of, how you do these shows. Y'all gotten so comfortable with doing the shows a certain way that you're not willing to kind of come up and do something different. So I think y'all may need to kind of come in and rejudge the show, in my opinion. Just take all these old school housewives and put them on an ultimate girls trip. That'll make the shows way more entertaining than having them do the same format of them doing it on the Real Housewives. Just send them away for a week to some cute little vacation spot and get some drama that way. All right, let's move on, child. And let's talk about my girl, Whoopi Goldberg, who is looking to get herself a new job. I mean, I don't know if she want to leave The View. And we'll get into that in a minute because there's some rumors swirling about that this might be her last season. I don't know, but we'll get into that. So now, EGOT winner and The View co-host Whoopi Goldberg is throwing her hat in the ring as a potential replacement for Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak, who announced earlier this week that he's retiring after hosting the show for over 4 decades. Now, when Jeopardy host Ken Jennings made an appearance on The View's June 13th episode, co-host Alyssa Farrah Griffin, who I just found out is a damn Gemini child. Oh, speaking of which, I just found out my cousin's a Gemini. Yeah, you say Andy Cohen, but that wasn't the topic that I had after that. I had Andy Cohen at the bottom. But you want to know something? We'll bring up the Andy Cohen thing right now, and then I'll move into the whole Whoopi Goldberg situation. So we'll do it that way. Okay, so speaking of Andy Cohen, Andy Cohen has revealed why he's no longer chasing Madonna to be a guest on Watch What Happens Live. So Andy Cohen was a longtime Madonna fan, recently had a chat with Howard Stern and revealed why he's done chasing the Queen of Pop to be a guest on his tight-ass show that no one watches, except Lindsay, Watch What Happens Live, saying, Madonna has still not done the show. I hope she does, but I'm actually kind of over it. In my notes app, I was keeping a long list of interview questions for her in case she ever did the show. And she's kind of answered a lot of it. I've mellowed out a bit. I've mellowed about it. That's what he said. Now, she and I have been in touch a little bit over the years, and she said to me, stop having people trash me on your show. I said to Madonna, I speak so positively. I'm such a fan of yours on the radio and on Watch What Happens Live, but only the bad stuff gets picked up in the press. That's what gets picked up in the press. You know how this works. That is true, because like I've always said, negativity sells. He also wanted to say, I could make a 4-hour montage of me licking Madonna's ass on Watch What Happens Live on the radio, on Andy's Kiki Lounge. You got a show called Andy's Kiki Lounge? Remember Wednesday Night Kiki? Then we got ourselves a show called that. But anyway, so you go on Andy's Kiki Lounge on Sirius XM app. Every 75 minutes, there is a Madonna song. That's how many Madonna songs there are in the queue. That's how big of a fan I am. Now, look, his comments pretty much explain, in my opinion, why she won't do the show. Like, Patti LuPone's been on Watch What Happens Live many a times. She was on there recently, where she went in and dogged quite a few celebrities. And she thievery and lies. And to me, it's just like, okay, well, he's had Mariah Carey. He's had a lot of big name stars on his show, and he does do whatever he needs to get these people to appear. But why would Madonna want to do his show anyway? Madonna, quiet as his cat, Madonna don't even like his ass, from what I've heard. Because he said he spoke to her a couple of times. There's only one Kiki show, and that's ours. Wednesday Night Kiki. So, and like he said, they always say, like, he has people calling and ask the questions. Child, we know that's Andy writing them damn questions. Or his team. And I'm not saying that Madonna doesn't have a sense of humor, because, the way that the Watch What Happens Live format is, he'll say his little stupid puns and his phrases, and they play games on the show, and it's that and the third. And it would be cute or whatever to get Madonna to go on that show, but she's not doing his show. She would rather, I live for her, she would rather go on that ass kisser Jimmy Fallon show, where he's always stumbling and gushing over his words and this, that, and the third. I don't typically like when she goes on Jimmy Fallon's show, probably because I don't particularly care for Jimmy Fallon. And yes, just because he's a Virgo don't mean I'm going to like him. I don't like all my own damn people either. Quiet as a cat. But yeah, to me, Andy just comes across as a thirsty clout chaser. He also talked about in his interview with Howard Stern, both is on my website if you want to look at the clips. He talked about how CNN CEO Chris that whole situation now that he's been fired, if they'll be bringing drinking back to the New Year's Eve special that he does with Anderson Cooper. He talked about that. He was like, you could watch that clip on there as well. I don't particularly watch that New Year's special, probably because um I don't know. I just don't think Andy Cohen is that funny. I don't think he's that interesting. I think he lacks a personality. Just because you're a gay man with a big old mouth and you like talking, don't necessarily require that as a talent. Oh, did I just? I'm like, that's not saying that. Well, I kind of do the same thing. Would that be me reading myself? No, because there's an actual skill that comes with this. It's like, I created this show. I come up with the topics. Production does what it does, but the personality is all me. The way I come at y'all with the facts and all the I can't say facts, information, which is up for speculation, depending on how you look at it. It is what it is. It's like, wait, did I just read myself? But look, we all know the story of how Watch What Happens Live transpired. Nene came up with the idea. And then Kathy Griffin read him over the fact, how do you give yourself your own show, and so and so forth. So I hope Madonna never does his show. I don't particularly care for her being on that show. I just think the show is stupid anyway. So we'll see how where she's gonna end up when she promotes the upcoming tour next month, which venues and which stops she'll be making, and all this other stuff. But anyway, let's take a quick break. And shout out to my girl Madonna for that. And when we come back, we're gonna get into Whoopi Goldberg wants to host Wheel of Fortune. We'll do that story over again, and I'll give my opinions on that. Also, why American Idol judges are boycotting The View. We also have here's a question: did Beyonce's Renaissance tour cause inflation in Sweden? Also, Demi Lovato flip-flopping ass has gone back to changing her pronouns because she got tired of explaining why she goes by they them pronouns. And we're gonna talk, speaking of non-binary, we're gonna talk about two non-binary stars who made history at the Tony Awards this past Sunday. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back with more On the Line with moi, Chris Avalon. Oh, we got breaking news. Well, definitely put me. Oh, hey bitch. Oh, excuse you. Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch.
You woke up tomorrow and you was a girl. What's the first thing you doing?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm finna go get fucked.
You letting the homies hit?
Hell yeah!
You just go straight to the niggas?
Straight to the niggas. Some niggas be toting them poles. That shit was gay.
Hi, my name is James. I'm 47 years old, I live in Boston, and I love coffee. Caffeine, it's my favorite thing. Oh hi, it's Chia. I'm not really looking to date someone from Earth. I want to date someone from the planet Remulon. Hi there, my name's Carol Della LaMonica. I'm 57 years old, I'm from Bronx, New York, and I'm looking for a man that I can meet that can be like my late husband Frank, God rest his soul. My ideal date would include taking a woman down a racetrack, getting in a car, and going as fast as we possibly can while running around the car and keeping up with it. Gia's perfect date would probably involve eating hot dogs and going to see La Bouche in concert. Aunt Carol's ideal date would probably be going down to the delicatessen and getting some nice chicken parm sandwiches because I love chicken parm. He or she or it would be really tall, a pale shade of green, 7 fingers, 3 hearts.
Another day is another day.
All right, y'all, we are back. Oh, so while we was on commercial, I went to go get my camera. Hold on. Oh, me adjust. Okay, so we're back. We got some breaking news. But before we get to that, there was something else I meant to mention. So earlier today, I don't know if y'all heard, but Tori Spelling and Dean McDermott getting a divorce after 17 years of marriage. Kourtney Kardashian announced that she's pregnant with Travis Barker's baby, but fans on social media believe that the announcement was staged, or should I say counterfeit with a K. That, you know, she held up the sign and that Travis knew the whole time. So why are y'all surprised? Why y'all gag? You know, in the words of Miss Mamas from Paris is Burning, why y'all gagging so? You know, they bring the bullshit to every ball. So everything the Kardashians do is staged or a moment for attention, because quiet as it's kept, Kourtney is the least interesting, you know, Kardashian. So we need to have, you know, they need to find reasons to make her interesting. And you getting IVF injections in your cootie cat so you can get pregnant or wherever they inject you is cute, but it's not that interesting. Now let's get to this breaking news story, courtesy of Page 6, which we have in the lower third. Amanda Bynes is reportedly in police custody again amid ongoing mental health struggles. And the LA Police Department handcuffed the former Nickelodeon star, who's 37, and took her to get a mental health evaluation on Saturday morning, according to TMZ. Now, a law enforcement source told the outlet that they arrived on the scene after receiving a call about a female individual who was in distress. TMZ has identified the woman as Bynes, but Page Six has not independently confirmed this claim. They have reached out to the LAPD and the actress's attorney for comment. Now, at the police station, a police medical unit will reportedly determine if Bynes needs further treatment. Eyewitnesses told TMZ that the All That alum was calm during the interaction with cops and looked defeated as they dealt with her. Yeah, and if you go on, when I looked at it for the Page Six thing, they got the pictures of her in handcuffs, sitting outside of a, the police car. She's got dark hair. I feel for, I don't know, I feel for her. Like she, in March, she was basically placed in psychiatric hold. She was found roaming the LA streets naked. I don't know what happened, Amanda Bynes has such a good thing going for her with her career, but you know what? Sometimes that mental health thing is not easy. She has, she's bipolar, and a lot of times when you're diagnosed with bipolar disorder, it's like you have your highs of highs and your lowest of lows. And it's not something you can control. I mean, I guess you can with medication, this, that, and the other. And her ex-fiance, Paul Michael, told Page Six that Bynes got off her meds and she's still off her meds, that she's not taking her medication. So once you don't take your medication, these things happen. So all we can do right now is I'll keep you further abreast of the story as it develops. But we have to, at the end of the day, I'm pulling for the girl. She's going through it. And hopefully, she gets the help that she needs. That's all we could do at this point. Okay, so now back to our regular scheduled topics, which is Whoopi Goldberg. Once again, we did this topic earlier, but now we'll bring it on back. Now, EGOT winner and The View co-host Whoopi Goldberg is throwing her hat in the ring as a potential replacement for Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak, who announced earlier this week that he's retiring after hosting the show for over 4 decades. Now, when Jeopardy host Ken Jennings made an appearance on The View June 13th, on the View's June 13th episode, co-host Alyssa Farrah Griffin asked him for a reaction following Sajak saying that he was stepping down. Now, another legendary game show host, Pat Sajak, just announced that he's going to be retiring for Wheel of Fortune at the end of next season. What's your reaction to the news and any ideas on who should replace him? Griffin asked. In the middle of Griffin's question, Goldberg is heard saying, "I want that job." Jennings was hopeful that Wheels got an envelope that says what to do when the host leaves following Jeopardy's own succession crisis. Joey Behar jumped in and said Whoopi wants that job. Goldberg confirmed, saying, "I want the job. I think it would be lots of fun." Behar further suggested that Sarah Haynes and I could be Vanna White. We'll take turns walking back and forth and pointing to the letters. Goldberg would be no stranger to game shows, that she was 90 rival of Hollywood Squares and became Center Square. And I remember because I used to love Hollywood Squares and I used to watch that show. And I actually liked what they had. It was her, Gilbert Gottfried, a lot of big names. I think Joan Rivers did it. It was a lot of people who basically did Hollywood Squares. And Hollywood Squares was a load of fun. It was a fun show when you had a lot of comedians on there. And who was the host? Was it Tom Bergeron? I think was the host at the time. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I think it was Tom Bergeron. But who I actually miss on Dance with the Stars. They did bring him back. But anyway, so on Monday, Sajak announced that he would be stepping down as the host of Wheel of Fortune after season 41 of the syndicated game show. So he's been doing it for over 4 decades, like it was said before. And I totally get it. It's like Pat Sajak's retiring, go live his best life. Then you had we had Alex Trebek, who sadly passed away. And I know I've been hearing the stories that Ryan Seacrest is in the running to replace him. Here's the thing. I am sick of Ryan Seacrest. I am sick of hearing Steve Harvey's name, and I damn sure am sick of Nick fucking Cannon. I'm tired of all 3 of them. Those are the main 3 go-tos that y'all go to whenever y'all want to get somebody a damn job. Y'all already gave Nick Cannon the replacement job on Beat Shazam. You got him doing that, taking over for Jamie Foxx, and then you have taking over for the daughter Corinne. You have what the hell's her name? Kelly Osbourne. That's what they got over there. Production says he wants Ryan Seacrest. Child, I'm tired of her. Look, I feel like there's an overall lack of true hosting talent out here with these shows. Y'all need to give some new people, some new blood, or new somebody an opportunity to come in and host these shows. It's the same old, same old. It's always the same three. Y'all either go to Ryan Seacrest, Nick Cannon, or Steve Harvey. Those are the main three that be getting all these damn hosting jobs with stuff. It would be cute or whatever to see Whoopi Goldberg do Wheel of Fortune, but the question remains, would she have to go back and forth? Would y'all want to have Wheel of Fortune shoot in New York, since everybody's coming to New York now? Or would Whoopi have to, during, since she works Monday through Thursday, she goes out to LA, after The View on Thursdays, and then goes to do Wheel of Fortune on Fridays. I think a lot of time when they do these game shows, they film multiple shows a day, so they have enough footage down or enough stuff that they could go throughout the week. So would you be filming a lot of these things during the time? So I don't know how that would work. I mean, if Whoopi Goldberg wants the job, I say go in and have regards of production, and let your manager, agents, although your team, go in and negotiate a deal. Put your hat in the ring. They know from The View you already put it out there, and we're talking about it. I did put this post out there, and some people said they'd be here for her doing it. So we'll see. It would be interesting to see if we could actually get a woman hosting, or they diversify regarding of the entertainment, primetime shows, daytime shows. We need some diversity, child. I hate the fact that we're still hearing these conversations of people being the first, or we're backsliding back to the old situations when it comes to things. I don't know. It's a lot, where it's like we're taking all the necessary steps to move forward, but then we're still going backwards in a lot of things. So now, speaking of which, since we were talking about one Whoopi Goldberg story, let's go into another Whoopi Goldberg story. So apparently, oh, look at production right on it too. So apparently Katy Perry, Lana Richie, and Luke Bryan are boycotting The View due to some comments Whoopi Goldberg made about the show during one of its Hot Topic segments. Now, this is according to Radar Online. I should put it out there. I cite my sources. Katy Perry, Lana Richie, and Luke Bryan are taking a dim view of The View after GabFest host Whoopi 67 blamed the singing competition show on the downfall of society. They're saying, quote, this is what the source said: Katie, Lionel, and Luke are all boycotting The View. You can't blame someone for literally destroying civilization, which is what Whoopi said, and then expect them to sit down and talk with you. The next time the Idol judges do press, they'll appear on all ABC shows, but not The View. RadarOnline.com has reached out to reps for American Idol for comment, but of course, they haven't said anything. ABC suspended Whoopi, and of course they had to bring this up, for 2 weeks earlier that year after she made offensive remarks about the Holocaust. She has since apologized. I personally don't think she should have been suspended for the 2 weeks. I do believe it should have been a teachable moment. Especially when the gag was that a lot of people believed what she said. I'm not saying it's right. But in February 2022, when she made the comment about the Holocaust, she claimed the genocide of European Jews was not about race. That is what a lot of people believe, because people look at being Jewish as not a race. People look at being Jewish as a part of a culture. It's religion based. It's like people going around saying, oh, I kill people because they were Catholic. Well, quite as it's kept, Catholics are mostly colonizers. I grew up Roman Catholic, so I know about the, Christopher Columbus and all these other people who caused the genocide of others due to religion. But that was something that a lot of people believe. And instead of y'all wanting to make it a teachable moment, what should have happened, which is what should have happened, y'all decided, oh, let's suspend. And this is why people believe these rumors that that Jews run Hollywood, that Jews run the banks, that Jews have control over a lot of things. These are things that people believe because of the way people are so quick to jump on all the things about, if you say anything remotely about Jewish people, they come down on you hard. But when it comes to people of color and black people, why y'all keep bringing up racism? Why y'all keep talking about slavery and this and the other? I was just having a conversation with my grandfather and my father and everything when we were at the cemetery, and because we were having a conversation about like where we wanted to travel, like on our, the place that we want to travel on my bucket list. And one of the things my dad was saying, and I kind of agree with him, because I was like, those places I want to go to. And this inspired me because when I saw the recent episode where Gabrielle Union was on the show, and she was talking about how she went and took a trip to Africa. And my father was like, the two places he wants to go to Egypt to see the pyramids. That's something I definitely want to do too, because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with pyramids. Stargate was like one of my favorite movies growing up. I've always had this deep obsession with like pyramids and pharaohs and Cleopatra and royalty and all these other things that was going on in Egypt. I was obsessed with Egypt and Egyptology and all this stuff. Indiana Jones, archaeology. That was like a big thing that I was obsessed with as a kid growing up. I was so obsessed with Indiana Jones. I even wrote I wrote a novel when I was a kid. And I still have it. Drew the cover art and wrote the backlog and all the other stuff and everything. Like, I designed it like it was a real book called The Montana Hunter and the Stolen Diamond. That's my little book that I wrote when I was a kid. Yeah, I went in. Like, that was how obsessed I was with Egypt. And I drew like pyramids, and I used to draw all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was saying like Egypt is one place and Africa was another place, but then they were talking about the amount of shots that you got to get when you got to go to Africa. Even they got to shoot you in your ass and stuff. I was like, God damn, you got to do all this stuff because they want to make sure you don't get sick when you're going out there. But I was inspired, hearing Gabrielle's story, which she was talking about how she went and visited all the monuments, all these different places, and learning the history of like, the people and how they were taken and all the other stuff. So yeah, I definitely do need to trademark that. But so yeah, back to the whole American Idol thing. So that was a little sidebar. But what they were saying is that insiders say there have been several conversations behind the scenes of The View about who to censor the controversial, how to censor about, I think, how to censor the controversial host for fear that it would that if they keep insulting folks, the show won't be able to book guests. Okay. You want to know something that I have to say about that? I do want to go to Africa also. To me, I always find it way more entertaining when they just do hot topics. Like, y'all sit up here, all y'all care about a celebrity guest. 9 times out of 10, y'all celebrity to guests be fucking boring. There be some people that come out, and I'll do like when y'all do the real life hot topics, or when y'all talk about the hot topic stuff. And if a celebrity comes on and promote their little movie or their little book, that's cute or whatever. But quiet as kept, I couldn't name one person that I know that still watches American Idol. I can't. That show is way past its due date. Should have been put out the pasture eons ago. Back when Simon Paula and Randy when that whole era came to an end. Shout out to my friend Ian Bernardo, who actually came back. They brought him back for the finale when they wrapped up the original finale, and was infamous for when he was on the show. So I wanted to shout him out. But I don't know. I'm just calling bullshit on this. Like, y'all really are the people of America Idol really that upset over what she said? I don't feel like that. What Whoopi said was all that bad. First of all, what Whoopi was saying was that based on, here's the thing. When the show initially started, it was supposed to be a show where you look for kids, you bring them on, they sing a couple of songs, you put them on a singing competition, very similar to Star Search, which is where a lot of people that y'all know, like Aaliyah, the late Aaliyah, who I believe has a documentary or whatever that's on Hulu or something. I need to watch that. They did a special on her. Aaliyah, Usher, Beyonce. I think they were Girls' Time at the time. There was a lot of celebrities that came up in that era. Britney Spears all came up. Christina Aguilera, I believe, was on there too. JoJo. They all came up in the era of Star Search. American Idol was similar to that kind of concept, except the sole winner, would come out with a big contract and record deal, all this stuff. Kind of find out a lot of people said those contracts were hell and were very much restricting on what kind of music they wanted to do. But when you under this big contract, you gotta do what the people tell you. Excuse me. But I don't think what she said was bad, because what had happened was initially the show was supposed to be about making these kids' dreams come true. It became something else when Simon Cowell came and was giving his brutally honest critique. Sometimes to the point where it was downright mean and hurtful. But the producers saw this opportunity to exploit the fans, I mean, not the fans, the contestants and all this other stuff, and try to make it more about something completely different. Oh, let's laugh at the contestants. Oh, let's, now it's all about, I lost an eye in a motorcycle accident. Oh, you made it through the Welcome to Hollywood. It's not even whether or not you're a good singer. Now it's who's got the sobbiest of stories. That's what the show's become now. I lost a testicle in Afghanistan. Oh, you're going through the Hollywood. Okay. There's many people out here with one ball. Don't necessarily mean you should get a pass for it. But y'all know what I mean. I'm being the most extreme, but you get it. So it wasn't until like that, and then there was always the audition parts where people were like horrible singers. So it became this whole other thing. But I do think that Whoopi was exaggerating a bit when she blamed it for the downfall of society. It might have been one part. But the exploitation of people and laughing at other people's expense. That's where I got from that. But the fact of the matter to say that, and then you got Brian annoying ass and bad. It's part of ABC now. That was then, but you don't think that way now, right? Because you have to do that whole ass kissing Hollywood thing. So I don't think what she said was all that bad. So I just feel like y'all are overreacting. Relax. And if they do end up coming on the episode and they address it, we'll see that somebody was lying. They also said that there's some more drama going on behind the scenes with The View, stating that Radar Online exclusively reported that her View co-star Joy Behar has grown frustrated with the actress turned television personality, especially since Whoopi is reportedly pushing for a raise. An insider dish that Behar, who makes a reported $7 million a year to Whoopi's $8 million, has been annoyed over her famous co-host's greed, saying she wants parity with Whoopi and thinks she deserves it. To the 80-year-old's mind, added the source, the more Whoopi takes, the less there is for everyone else. They said they were told that Whoopi is aware of Behar's feelings, but she isn't budging. The source said the ghost actress is looking out for herself. As far as she's concerned, it's none of her business how much the others are making, snitch and insider. It's not going to stop her driving a hard bargain. ABC, they even said this too, that viewers called for Whoopi to be fired after she celebrated right-wing political host Tucker Carlson's fighting Fox News. I celebrated that shit too. I believe a lot of people did. And to me, it's like, oh, all of a sudden now, I feel like those people who are bitching and moaning don't even watch The View. Because why wouldn't I celebrate his firing? The man spent years on that damn network spreading lies and misinformation and propaganda, and giving that twice impeached former president a platform to spew his BS and being Putin's lapdog. So for y'all to sit up in here and talk about, oh, well, she needs to be fired. We know what that's about. Y'all don't like the fact that this nigga bitch, because y'all can't say it. So y'all don't like the fact that she is over here gloating at the fact that that snowflake is out of a job. For his own, and which is his own doing, because he went on there lying and causing Fox News a lot of money. That's the true gag. The fact of the matter was he was fired for costing his network a lot of money. Because otherwise, I believe they would have kept the big lie going. As long as y'all don't lose money out on the situation, I think it's not a big deal for them. So, as far as this whole thing goes with the raise, maybe Whoopi thinks that she deserves more money because she's an EGOT winner and, she's a big staple in Hollywood. Is that enough for her to be, making the type of money that she's making? I don't know. And Joy Behar allegedly being upset because she feels like she should be over. Look, here's the gag. I feel like Joy Behar puts in more work as a moderator than Whoopi does. Whoopi sometimes should be sitting there and she just definitely gives I don't particularly care for these topics. So I'm gonna just sit here and let y'all talk about it. I'm gonna let y'all sit here and have these little conversations and go back and forth with the Reddit comments and the relationship stuff and all these things I don't particularly care for. Whereas everybody else, we'll have their little conversations or whatever. So I don't know. I will definitely keep you guys abreast of this as it develops. I don't know. They're talking about that Whoopi wants more money. Then I'm hearing from other people talking about that this may be her last season, that they want her fired, that she may not come back because she's been a little too controversial. Personally, they could use a little more controversy over that damn network. So I think a lot of these personalities, these pundits, y'all get so damn boring and y'all be so scared to give y'all opinion. That's why in a way I'm so glad I'm on social media and I can say what I want to say, as long as it's respectful and not at a point where it's gotten, a little off, out of control, like how a lot of these crazies from the Republican side be out here saying all they crazy stuff. And this is why it's always good to be like, you know what, I'm gonna create like a Patreon or something or another and do that and get some money donations and stuff. That'll be able to support me in a lot of my stuff. But yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys abreast of the story as it develops. All right, so let's move on and talk about Beyonce and how her concerts over in Sweden, which kicked off the Renaissance tour, may have contributed to inflation. So when the Beehive swung Sweden, they didn't just bring the buzz, they also brought inflation. Now, shout out to Complex for this story, stating that Beyonce's Renaissance Worlds Tour was always going to be one of the biggest tours of the year, but having an impact on inflation that wasn't exactly in the cards for even the more hyperbolic predictions. As noted in a recent New York Times piece citing Danske Bank chief economist Michael Gran, or is it Gran? Oh yeah, I think it's Gran because Nancy Lee Gran. That's what I be thinking about. Alexis from General Hospital. So when I see Gran, I'm like, okay, I think of her. But anyway, I know, just things I think about how I pronounce names. The two-show kickoff in the tour of Stockholm in May seems to have had an impact on inflation in Sweden for the month. Per Statistics Sweden, the inflation rate for May was 9.7% according to the Consumer Price Index. While that this was lower than April's 10.5, it still marked a higher than expected rate. Notably, there are several factors at play here. Chief among them is an uptick in hotel and restaurant prices for the month, both of which could reasonably be linked, although it's not clear to what degree. To Beyonce's pair of tour opening shows at Friends Arena in Stockholm, the shows were massive, of course, but also drew in out-of-town fans. In fact, Gran told the Times' Eshe Nelson that traveling fans were the main impact on inflation in this scenario. The Renaissance World Tour, which marks Beyonce's first solo outing in 7 years, continues this month with stops in Amsterdam, Hamburg, Frankfurt, and Warsaw. Next month, the North American leg of the tour begins with a pair of shows at the Rogers Center in Toronto before the experience is taken to Philly, Nashville, and beyond. And also Jersey, because she ain't coming to New York. They said that earlier this week, the tour made headlines thanks to a fortunate fan who caught the singer's sunglasses during a show in London. The glasses were promptly listed on an auction site, of course it was, with a starting price for more than $7,000. So now, of course, this person's going to take these glasses away. What am I going to do with it? It'd be cute to keep it, but why not put it on an auction and make some money? And be like, these are the glasses Beyonce gave me that I caught. But anyway, just talk about the inflation. This is what I was telling y'all, because remember, I told y'all that people are saying the tickets are so expensive in the United States, but I was hearing from my friend Jovan, who lives in Spain, that when you go see these same artists, like a Beyonce or Madonna, Taylor Swift, whatever, if you go to a different country and see them, the same price that you will pay for a nosebleed is the same price you would pay for a floor show. So by everybody out here in the United States of America is paying $2,000 to be front row, you could pay $150 American, but I don't know how much it would be European. And that could be the same ticket you would pay for a front row ticket. Or a ticket where it's like where you're center and from the screen where you could actually see where you are. So, yeah, so that's basically what it is. I feel like a lot of times people are going overseas because they can't afford the tickets out here. Whereas like the same price you would pay for a front row seat or front row ticket at an American leg of the tour, you can pay that same amount for the hotel, the plane ticket, and the concert ticket. So all that could be worth the same price that you pay for one ticket in America. So that's why the inflation is going up. A lot of people are taking trips overseas to see their favorite artists because the tickets are too damn high in the United States or in North America. And inflation's killing a lot of us, quite frankly. Like this, it's just so much. Like rent is crazy, food prices is crazy. Every new thing you buy now, it's like it's going up. I remember I was having a conversation with family earlier. They were saying like, Biden caused inflation. I was like, no, Donald Trump caused inflation. What people don't realize what happens is that what happens from the prior presidency starts to trickle down into the new administration. So you don't start feeling the after effects or the aftershocks, whatever you want to call it, until the next administration. You ain't going to feel it when that other person's there, which is why a lot of times people think when things go up, it's because of who's currently in office. So there's that. And yeah, so shout out to Beyonce. I almost bought a ticket to go see her concert, but I was like, I don't know if I would want to go. So I'm like, look, I'm sure it'll end up all over. I've seen I've seen a lot of the show on YouTube anyway, so I'm good. And I keep seeing these clips of Blue Ivy up there dancing, so I've seen it. All right, chill. Let's get into it. Let's get into this queer tourist by the name of Demi Lovato. And the fact that she keep changing her damn, she the flip-flopper of gender pronouns. And here's what she said. She said she changed back, she going back to she instead of they, them, because she is tired of explaining them pronouns. Saying, and I quote, I constantly had to educate people to explain why I identify with those pronouns. It was absolutely exhausting, the Cool for the Summer singer told GQ Hype Spain in an interview published on Tuesday. I just got tired, but for that very reason, I know that it is important to continue spreading the word. Okay. Lovato, who is currently dating musician, is it Juts? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jutes. Also said that, or their name, I don't even know if it's male or female. I ain't never heard of this person. So if y'all know who this is, let me know in the comments. Also says she wishes for more gender neutral spaces for everyone, as she has found herself torn over basic amenities such as sex assigned bathrooms and paperwork. Well, there are gender neutral bathrooms. I have been plenty of places where there are gender neutral bathrooms. Yes, we don't have enough of them, but to be honest, we do have a lot of gender neutral bathrooms. I even heard Beyonce was doing gender neutral bathrooms at her concerts. Funnily enough, I remember I was hearing this argument of people talking about how, oh, well, with transgender people, oh, I don't want that man in a woman's bathroom and this, that, and the other. And I was literally having a conversation. I was like, well, wait a minute. So it's funny how y'all say that, but when I be at big events like concerts and this and the other, and the women's bathroom is so goddamn packed, the women spill over into the men's room to use our damn stalls while the men are at the urinal. It's funny how y'all overlook that. And y'all here for it because y'all need to use our motherfucking bathroom. But now y'all want to use this gender anti-trans stance when it comes to bathrooms, because they've twisted it in some sort of way that makes you all spooked out. So that never resonated with me, but I was like, I've been many places where women share the bathrooms. I remember when we had XL, the first one, because they had two at one point. They had it, got rid of it, found a new location, brought it back. But that was at the Out Hotel, which is not the Out Hotel anymore. But when I used to go to XL, and remember, XL appeared in an episode of Sex and the City. We had a big fish tank in the middle of the bathroom, and it was men and women. It was a gender neutral bathroom. So gender neutral bathrooms have been around for a long time. And she said, I face this every day, for example, in public toilets having to access the women's bathroom, even though I don't completely identify with it. Girl, first of all you gotta do is pop a goddamn squat on a toilet and relieve yourself. Who gives a fuck what's on the outside of the bathroom? If I got to pee, I got to pee. If I got to give a shadoobie, I got to drop the shadoobie in the toilet. Y'all be doing too damn much just when it comes to like bathroom. Okay. If I got to go, I got to go. Y'all just be doing too damn much. Or it also happens with filling out forms such as government documents or any other where you have to specify your gender. You only have two options, male or female. I would just put you. Well, I don't know necessarily. Well, she said government documents, and I feel like none of that makes sense to me. There should be updated. I agree that there should be, because I've noticed, like, when I fill out certain things, it does say male, female, non-binary. It does say those things on certain things. Now, as to what specific document she's referring to government-wise, I need her to be a little more specific. And then she said that she is conditioned to select women because there are no other options. I think this has to change, she shared. Hopefully with time there will be more options. Well, things can change if you don't want to be in the trenches and fight, the good fight. Because if you feel that your gender expression or your gender identity is you are fluid, that you are not necessarily male and female, which in my opinion, I don't think either one of us as human beings are just one thing. We are part male, part female. It takes a man and a woman to make a baby, correct? So therefore, I do believe that we embody feminine and masculine energy. Yeah, with society, we have this thing where we have to suppress certain parts of those because society makes it seem like showing any kind of emotion, showing any kind of femininity, especially in men, is considered a weakness, when in my opinion, I don't think it is. So we should embrace, and I do embrace my feminine side as well as my masculine side. I'm not ashamed to do it, and I don't give a fuck. I'll be ready to fight a bitch in a minute if you try to come for me. But to me, where her getting up in here saying that she's exhausted and she's tired of explaining, well, girl, welcome to the club. Welcome to the big old LGBTQIA plus club. There's a lot of us that are sick and tired of having to explain things to people. But unfortunately, we don't have that option. We have to just go in there and do what we need to do. People, it's every day, every time, every little thing is a teachable moment. We're going to always have to come out here and explain things to people when people don't have the information. Why you identify with they, them pronouns. Because I don't feel 100% female. Sometimes I feel I have masculine energy. Sometimes I feel like this. Sometimes I feel like that. So that's why I go with they, them. I remember I had a big old thing. I was like, I'm not getting in the middle of it. When I posted this article, a lot of people had a lot to say on this. And a lot of them was feeling like the whole they, them thing and the way it's acting. I feel like this is also why people get irritated with us. Because it's like, well, damn, I don't know what to say anymore. 1 minute is this, and I'm trying to understand, and y'all say it's this, but then you trying to change it to this. And you know what? Sexuality, gender identity, constantly evolving. That's just a thing like that. It's like things are always evolving. Things aren't always going to just be one thing all the time, all the way through. That's just not how the world works. Sexuality, gender identity is complex. Human beings are complex. Things are constantly evolving in life. I'm sure long after I'm off this earth, and Demi Lovato and many others are off this earth, things are going to keep evolving and changing. We're going to and then we're going to learn about human anatomy and things and biology and all this other stuff and realize it's not just one specific construct. There's so many different things. So to me, I feel like you sitting up here and saying that I'm so tired of explaining things to people, it's a cop-out. And this is why people look at you as a flip-flopper and why people look at you as nothing more than a queer tourist. You just want to stop on in, pay a little visit, and then when things get too complicated, you want to run back to the she, her situation. And if that's what you want to do, then that's great. And look, a lot of us don't like the fact that we, are pegged with this thing where we have to constantly educate people and constantly have to be the ones to be the spokesperson for the community. What nobody's asking you to do, but sometimes if you're going to adopt certain situations, that's just unfortunately the way the cookie crumbles. So, like I said before, a lot of us don't have the luxury to sit and just not want to be something, because sometimes you got to get in the trenches. You got to fight the good fight. And that's the only way you're going to see change happen in the world, is by speaking out, by constantly having to defend and educate and all those things. So I'm a little disappointed in you. And this is why I'm glad I had her number from the beginning, because I remember when I've said stuff about her in the past, people was hating on me, talking about I'm a hater, I'm this, I'm that. I clocked this bitch from the beginning. Now y'all starting to see the repercussions. I always tell you, like, I see the thing before the thing truly reveals itself. Little by little, things start to reveal itself. Now we're at the pinnacle. We're at the peak part. We're seeing the full thing at its full manifestation. And this is the result. So, girl, I guess we'll have to wait a couple of months and then she'll be like, you know what? I take back what I said. I'm back to they, them, and this is why. And then y'all gonna start groaning again. All right, so let's get to our final topic. And that is, speaking of they, thems, huge congratulations to Jay Harrison Ghee and Glee alum Alex Newell for their historical wins at the 2023 Tony Awards. Now, Alex Newell and Jay Harrison Ghee made Tony Awards history twice within a month's time span. They became the first non-binary people to be nominated and subsequently win Tonys on Sunday, June 11th, the Best Featured Actor in a Musical and Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical, respectively. Newell stars as Lulu in Shucked, while Ghee stars as Jerry/Daphne in Some Like It Hot, which I believe Marilyn Monroe was the original movie, and Tony Curtis was in it, which is Jamie Lee Curtis's father and Janet Leigh's husband. May they rest in peace. And Mariah Carey, I believe, produces the Some Like a Hot play. Now, in their acceptance speech, the latter expressed, "My mother raised me to understand that the gifts God gave me were not about me, to use them to be effective in the world, to help somebody else's journey. So thank you for teaching me how to live, how to love, how to give. For every trans, non-binary, gender, non-conforming human, whoever was told they couldn't be seen, this is for you. Something like a hot, ain't that bad, honey." And that's the gospel according to Jay. So I loved Jay's speech because that's how I feel too. It's like I believe that the gifts that were given to me isn't about me. It's about me serving the bigger picture and letting it, paying it forward so that way when the next generation comes along, you help them and you inspire them. So it was great to see two Black non-binary performers up on that stage, and it gives inspiration for more Black non-binary people of color being like, you know what? If I see Alex Newell up there, and if I see Jay Harrison Ghee up there, and they get to win Tony Awards for being their authentic selves, then I can get out there and do the same thing. So I love that. And Newell said on their win, "I have wanted this my entire life. Thank you for seeing me, Broadway. I should not be up here as a queer, non-binary, fat, Black little baby from Massachusetts. And to anyone that thinks that they can't do it, I'm going to look you dead in your face, and you can do anything you put your mind to," which is what my mother said to me growing up too. So it's like all these things that they're saying, I've heard those things too. My mother always said you could do anything you put your mind to. And I truly believe that. Sometimes, we have our doubts as people, and we got to fight through those doubts. You don't need to let people know you got the self-doubt, but fight through it and try. Just go out there and do what you want to do and make it happen. But I have to say, I watched the Tony Awards on Monday because I was like, I didn't even know the Tony Awards came on Sunday. But then I was like, oh, let me check Paramount Plus. Excuse me. What's the ride story? What story is that? Oh, Pride Story. Oh my God, I totally forgot that was what I was supposed to do. There was another story I was gonna do about the whole Pride, about Pride and these marketing people and them pulling out, but we'll do that next week because I'm not going to sit here and extend that. But yeah, I totally forgot that was, and I wrote it in my notes too, but so much was going on and me rushing back and all that stuff, I totally forgot. But yeah, I do agree, we'll save it for next week since Pride, the big Pride thing is next week, so that's a good thing to do. But anyway, back to the situation. I watched the Tonys and I actually enjoyed it. I liked a lot of the performances. I love the opening with Angela Bassett did the thing. What's her name? Ariana DeBose. That's how I remember her now. She opened the show. She basically said stuff with the dome. They had no writers. So she was basically just freestyling the whole thing, which is great. What you need is somebody who can get in there and quickly improvise to basically keep the show going. And I thought Ariana did a really good job. I love what she did with the show. Having the celebrities come out and introduce themselves before they would read the nominees. It was great seeing my future husband. I told you I have so many. Oh my God, I totally forgot his name. Luke Evans, who I cannot wait to see that movie that he has coming out with Billy Porter, where he and Billy Porter play ex-husbands who are fighting for custody of their child. And then he was asked in an interview what took him so long to play a gay role. He said because they didn't exist. He was looking for the best. He was looking for a really good role that will play inside, because he's played so many other characters. He's always played a lot of different straight characters. And he was like, this role basically resonated with him, and that's why he had to do it. Which makes perfect sense as an actor. It's like, I'll do the role if the role speaks to me. I'm not going to run away from it. And it was also good to see Wilson Cruz, who I flirted with on Instagram. I called him a snack, and he liked my comment. So shout out to Wilson. He does follow me on Twitter. But yeah, so overall, I have to say the Tonys is great. If y'all want to check it out, it's on Paramount Plus. You could definitely go in and you can watch it. And I like the fact that if you miss something on network television, you can see it on the streaming services. So yeah, that's all I got to say on that. Oh, and another thing, I don't remember who it was. Was he a director, producer, somebody? When that guy got up there and said, all my life I've been called the F word, and now here I am, a faggot that won a Tony, and the girls gagged. I have to say, I lived for that moment. I gagged, I geeked, I gooped, I did everything when he said that. And I was mad at CBS for bleeping it. I'm like, there's context to what he's saying. Why bleep what he's saying? You should just let him, for the context of it, say. But it just goes to show that they got a lot of straight people working behind the scenes. Everybody scared, FCC, fucking nervous, all that other crap. So that's the irritation for me. It's just like, you always got to think about the people behind the scenes that be so nervous about every little thing. And it's like, those of us watching, we understood where he was coming from. It would have been way more impactful if you would have let it get past the censors and let him say what he said. Or they could have just did like what Peacock does with what they did with the last episode of the Real Housewives reunion, or what they did when I watched the Vanderpump Rules reunion. They released it uncensored with cussing and everything up in there. I ain't never heard the word "see you next Tuesday" so many times in the episode of Vanderpump Rules without the bleep, but I did. So anyway, I want to thank you all for watching today's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new episode. I don't know if it'll be on the line. I don't know if it'll be Chris Avalon Unfiltered, but I will definitely keep you guys abreast, because this is what we do over here. So yes, thank you for tuning in and all the stuff. Thank you, Lindsay, for popping in. I don't know if she was working or whatever with the Real Housewives commentary while I was spilling it. Okay, so July 8th is the official date of Unfiltered, and we're going to work out a whole bunch of things and have some conversations about what we're going to do with that. But anyway, love you all for watching. See you next week. Ciao, darlings.
Oh, hey, bitch. Oh, excuse you. Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch.
This is for faggots.